Hello, uncle.
Hi.
I'm standing and welcoming everyone in your own home, the terrace of your own home. And 20 minutes ago, I did not know that a podcast was going to be short. And this is what I've always wanted to do, start a podcast, have conversations with people like you, who provide a very different facet to life. Um, and in a place like this, like nestled amongst the trees and the clouds, the question I'll begin with right away is, how do you manage to stay so happy all the time? Because that is something which intrigues me. The day can be dull, it can be cloudy or sunny, but you're so happy all the time. And how do you manage to do it? Because I would like to as well.
Thank you, Raghav, for being here. And in fact, this is something that perplexed me as well. That we are constantly looking for happiness and joy, and we try to find it through people, through entertainment, through food, through places, and we're constantly actually searching all through our life for this happiness. And I too was doing that, and given my career and given my life choices, I realized that I had got everything, but all that was missing was this joy in my life. And I realized that it has to be something which is far more permanent than just go for a movie, watch a Netflix serial, go for a stand-up comedy show, or go out and have good food and try to entertain yourself so that you're happy. So, and one day I realized that it has to be something which stays with you and is permanent. And that was the quest on which I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I realized that what our ancient scriptures were saying, that the purpose of life was to experience Satchit Ananda. Sat means to know who you truly are. Chit means be aware of your truth at all times. And by being aware of your truth at all times, you will experience Ananda or joy. And I thought, let me go for that rather than have this piecemeal kind of an approach to life and find happiness here and there. And why should I go become sad and then try to get happy? Why shouldn't I be happy? And that search of mine got me to this beautiful place, and so that you and I could spend some time together and have such a wonderful experience.
Wow, that's an enthralling answer. My question is, why don't all of us, most of us, look for that permanent joy? Like you mentioned, we're all running after like a good career, lots of money, a good family. But why aren't we looking for that permanent source of happiness when it seems so commonsensical? If happiness is what we're searching for, let's look for something that is permanent and that does not come and go.
Yeah, that's a good question. But for that, I believe you need to get this thought from within that there is, first of all, a yearning within you which says, I need this permanent happiness. I'm looking for this permanent happiness. And I think a lot of times people do not even know that permanent happiness is possible. So therefore, they believe that this is the kind of a framework that the world has created, and which is being popularized by social media and all the infotainment industry, that if you want joy and happiness, then there are these facilities available. I don't think it has got popularized, this idea that while those things are available, there is a way of finding permanent happiness, and this happiness then nobody can take from you. You can be robbed of your riches. Somebody can rob you of your job or your career or take away, your assets. But happiness is something which is so intrinsic, cannot be taken away. It's just yours. So I guess people don't know that this is possible. And even before you came here, I don't think you realized that was possible as well, right? You were coping and you were struggling with it.
Right. Because for me, it always seemed like I mentioned, that once I have this, this, and this, then my life will be figured out. But what I realized was there was something that I was seeking that was way beyond all of this, like you mentioned, is permanent. And I could see very few, if any person, who had it. Right? Now, I know that it seems too good to be true, but having observed you from close quarters, I know that you're a person who's not only very content and satisfied with life, but who is truly joyous. And it seems like a very elaborate search that evokes an elaborate answer. But if I could ask you, in very basic terms, how do we, now that we know that there is this permanent source of happiness, how do we find it? If there is a basic answer that you could give as to, I'm looking for permanent happiness, how could I find it within me?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's tough to put it in a few words, but let me try and share this with you. That look, there is a self, there is something within us which is what we call as the authentic self. And then there is another self of ours which is cultured and which is put on and which has been impacted by the society, our upbringing, and where we are. And that we believe to be the real self, but there is something which is far more intrinsic and authentic within us. And so what happens is, as we grow up, we lose touch with the authentic self with which we are born and which always remains with us, and we start to see ourselves as a personality or as a persona, and society kind of molds us in such a way, and we lose touch with the real self. So the trick is to be able to understand that there is a self within you, which people use, technical terms like the soul or the atma or consciousness. Without going into it, let's call it the authentic self. And that authentic self, if you know that it is present within you, there are techniques by which you can go within and get in touch with that. And it's an experiential path, because we are so much conditioned to live in the outside, we have lost touch with the inside. And if we can connect to the inside and get a direct experience of joy, which you found in last night's meditation, in an instant we were discussing something,
Yeah.
and you were able to go into those realms of joy which were coming from within, essentially.
Yes.
So that's it. To know that it is possible, and then there are some techniques to be followed, and you can experience that joy which is permanent.
Wow. So, like, on the journey of life that I've been on so far, about 25 years now in 10 days, what really I've been searching for is to live authentically. And I love that your answer was catered towards finding and living from your authentic self. Now, for me, authentic living is like you often say, a complete alignment between your thought, word, and deed. Right? Is it fair to say that?
Yep, absolutely.
Now, I know that authentically, in moments I've experienced that I am peace and love and happiness. There are times in the day, though, or during like various life situations, where every one of us gets triggered, right? If I'm walking down the street, and I was having this conversation with Richa yesterday, that if I'm walking down the street and someone hurls an abuse at me, there would be an instant reaction of anger, like instant anger as to why is someone else unfairly yelling at me. Now, in such a situation, my first thought is that of anger. Should I also word it out and express it in my action, or should I hold back, like society has taught me to hold back, not to be proper, not to express what I'm truly feeling at all times? But what that also does is it creates a split in my personality, where I'm trying to be something I'm not, and that prevents me from living authentically. So while I'm navigating all these situations in life, how do I stay authentic and rooted in my own truth at all times? And if the answer is not getting angry, how can I even prevent my thoughts from reaching that stage in the first place? So basically, how do I know? My question, I know it's a very winding question. My question essentially is, how do I know which thoughts are authentic and which are not?
This is a very elaborate question. See, when we are on the journey of understanding our authentic self, remember that the authenticity is not just yours. Everybody, whoever you are dealing with in life, also has an authenticity. And actually, essentially, the authentic self is the same for all, because it is just one pure field of consciousness. And so if we understand that the authenticity is a constancy, it is not yours and mine, and you cannot say that I have to react from my authenticity and the other is not allowed to react from their authenticity. When you get a better perspective of life, the way you view situations and the way you respond to situation changes, right? So you're saying pretty much in this question that somebody's abused you, you're feeling anger inside. Now should I express my anger back, or should I hold it in? Okay, and if I express it, then how do I express it? That's essentially your question, isn't it?
Right.
So yes, of course, if I am feeling a discomfort within, I must express it out. But the question is, how do you language it? How do you language it in a way that it does not create a further argument? And you want to say something, right? But the manner in which you will communicate will decide whether this will get into a fight, or whether it will help you to express and also put your point across. So that understanding, to come to that point where you can engage like that without being reactive, right, is what you need to know. And of course, we must, if we have to live our authentic self, then we must be able to express what we are thinking, both in words as well as in our action. Okay, and over a period of time, as you keep getting in touch and you realize that this holding this balance between your thoughts, words and action is the source of your joy. And when you start to move away from just thinking about yourself and seeing that everybody else is a part of that, your existence is not independent, it is interdependent, it is interconnected, then this expression of the thought, word and action and the alignment of that starts bringing others in. Okay, and instead of anger, what comes out is love. And this love creates that field where the expression is instantly manifested and received also at the same time by the others.
I think that's a beautiful answer, and what I take away from that is to spend more time with myself so that I know what my true authenticity is, and once I realize that, maneuver in a way that I am acting out of my true authenticity at all times.
And
yeah,
just to add to that, not only you are authentic to yourself, but your authenticity should not hurt others.
Right.
You see, a lot of times we become very selfish, and today's generation is a little bit like that. I just live for myself, right? And you say that YOLO, you live only once, and you end up doing things which hurt others as well. So you got to make sure that your awareness is so much that what you're doing is involving and engaging with others and not alienating them. That's one little bit of a correction that needs to be done there.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. I think my parents would be very happy listening to that response. As a 24-year-old, there is currently like an immense possibility of what I can do in life that awaits, as well as a very set path that society often imposes on people my age as for what is their calling in life and what they should do so that they can live authentically, with purpose and with happiness. How do we find that? How do we find that calling and purpose so that we can put our right action towards it, living peacefully and happily without following any impositions and restrictions that society often imposes on all of us?
That's a good one, Raghav. First of all, I'm fascinated with young adults of your age, that even if you're just 10 days away from being 25, you will still say that I'm 24 years old. And that amazes me. I remember when I was growing up, I always wanted to show my age a little more. I would have said, I'm actually 25. But this is beautiful. This is what my daughter also keeps telling me. I am not 25 till I am 25, like, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You see, the point is, there is no set answer to what you've asked. I think each one of us is unique, and each one of us has a way of looking at life. And I feel that we need to make it known to the youth of your age that there is a possibility of looking at life holistically rather than seeing it from the individual prisms of finding joy in life. And I see this even with my own children. My son is 27, my daughter is going to be 26. Have clearly what you call it bifurcated their life into work, okay, and then evenings is entertainment, and that entertainment could be through Netflix and all that OTT platforms, or going out for parties, and therefore joy has been relegated to a certain time of the day. And it is not necessary that during the day when they are working they are experiencing that joy. So I think because again I said, because it's the society has created that kind of a way of life, and each one therefore is convinced that's the only way to do it. So I think our challenge is really, and you're one of those rare ones who's even looking at this question, that this is possible to do it, and it is available to you at all times.
Because like if I can add here, when you mentioned that people are living for the evenings, now that's an idea that completely like stifles me. Like, I do not want to live for the weekends.
Yeah.
I want to be living a purposeful life when I wake up in the morning to the time I go to sleep at night. Yeah.
Right. You have a yearning from within, right? Not many have that yearning. So the question is, why don't they have a yearning? Because they think it's not possible to have something like this, and they've kind of accepted that this is the way life is. Okay, it's like a framework, a stereotyping that everybody has to follow, and therefore media has played its part in projecting it so effectively on us that we are convinced that's the only way, right? You chose to strike out and figure it out, and you now are realizing it is possible to do it.
Right.
So I'm saying, I think our first job is to try and bring it to this young audience that there is a possibility to do it, and so that this joy is not relegated to weekends or to late nights, and this joy is something that you can, from the moment you get up, the work that you do during the day, the food that you eat, the walks that you go on, the gym that you go to, is all part of this expression of joy.
Sounds like heaven.
Youngsters like you need to be the bridge, who have had the courage to seek it out, have experienced it firsthand, and now you should be able to take it out and communicate to the people, to your kind of people, because they are your peer group, that this is the possibility. And we should now, there has to be a paradigm shift of looking at joy from a compartmentalized, place related, object related, time related event to something which is 24/7 available to all of us, and it's actually a birthright, and it is, in fact, that is the reason why we are born at this point, to experience it. This is the whole idea of life.
Your answer sounds like hope, and I know that you're someone who completely followed his heart and went to great lengths to follow his heart. Now, you have mentioned that it is possible for people like me, people who are starting their careers, to live a purpose-driven, happy life at all times. From a practical point of view, how would that look? Now, for example, in my MBA, there's a friend of mine who wants to, say, be a scuba diver, right? But she is doing an MBA because her parents expected her to, and that's what society expects from a successful person in their 20s. Would you recommend to such a person to just quit her degree and go follow her dreams? My question is, how courageous should you be in following your dreams? Because there are several stakeholders that we're constantly balancing at all times in order to appease people, right? So where does this stop? And do we completely trust life and take the risk and go for it? Do we follow our heart with no holds barred? How do we balance that fine line?
You see, ultimately it all boils down to that you must understand who you truly are and what is your authentic self, because we have vague ideas and notions and sometimes a romance about ourselves, and we end up sometimes doing things in the name of following our heart. We end up being a little foolish, and that harms us sometimes. So therefore I think the way, let's say you're doing an MBA program, now you don't become an expert in management or marketing till you've done all your semesters. You get a bit of understanding in every semester, and that kind of adds up to your knowledge. And then once the whole thing program comes together, you get your degree, and you become a successful management graduate who can go and help corporations or your own enterprise in building it up. Same way, there is no ready answer to say that this is what should be done. You should understand yourself, who you truly are and what is your authentic self. And once you've understood this, the answer to that question of should I be a scuba diver, should I be a management graduate, or should I just follow my heart from the authentic space, that answer should come from within. But that answer should not come from an impulsive decision. That answer should not come from a pressure from your parents. That should not come as something that has been romanticized through movies and a projection, a dream that you might have. But it should come from a deep understanding of the self. And once you have it, then you are no longer ignorant. You will take the right decision, and you'll never regret it, because you've gone through the process, and it's an inside out expression. You are now expressing yourself in what you will do in life through who you truly are, or as you call it, the authentic self.
Interesting. And how do I know that this is coming from my authentic self? Like you mentioned, sometimes I may take impulsive decisions just thinking I'm following my heart. How do I know that it is something that is actually not impulsive, or it is coming from deep within me?
Right. So that's why I said that you cannot just having a semester's course, you can say that I am now a management graduate. You got to go through the full curriculum. Similarly, there is a curriculum of life. There are some things that we don't know about ourselves, and we try to put it together in a very beautiful set of videos. It's called the Atma Chalisa Parinam, and you've done that.
I've done that.
It's a 40 days Parinam, which we call as the pathless path, the path of love. And there you get, all you need to do is spend some time during the day, look at it, and reflect upon it, contemplate upon it, and that gives you an understanding of what life truly is and who you truly are. And the experience at the end of 40 days is you get a holistic understanding of the self. Okay, now at least you have an understanding, because we have pieces, all of us have a pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. We have certain experiences, we've gained some knowledge by looking at some videos or reading some books or from elders, but we don't know how it all fits in one place. So you got to put this picture of the self together, and then you are able to make an informed decision about this. And once you get in touch, and there are some techniques given over there, once you start experiencing the depth of who you truly are, it will come to you very clearly that what's coming to you is coming through an impulse, or is it coming through discernment or discrimination about the self. And therefore and also remember, in life there are no stakes. Okay,
Right. Life is a game.
Life is a game. And like an experimenter, we are in a lab called life.
Yeah.
And in that lab called life, we go and experiment. So let's say you've gotten something you think is coming from your authentic self, but maybe let's say it is coming from your enthusiasm to do something, right? And it may be a little frivolous, but what's wrong? Go ahead, figure it out. Try to do this. You will learn something out of it. It may not work to the way you wanted it, but you would have ended up learning something, and you would have grown wiser, and you would have understood the difference between an impulse and doing proper discernment. So what's there to lose? This is the only way to learn.
That's what I love about what you say. No
Yeah.
taboos, just go for
Absolutely.
it.
Go for it. Figure it out.
Yeah.
But what's there?
Yeah.
There are no stakes.
Right.
We are all going to die one day. That's it. So
Let's go.
Let's just do it. Why are we carrying this burden on our head? We've got to do something. Don't
Yeah.
worry. When we've come here in this world, let me tell all of you that we've come in this world. We have a plan for ourselves. There is a soul plan, and each one of us is protected and is in the complete guidance of the authentic self which is within us. It's just that it's such a sheer tragedy that it is not taught in the schools, it's not taught in universities, that how the protector and the guide and the God to whom we pray is actually within us and is always with us. Just imagine, what a tragedy.
What a tragedy indeed.
Isn't it? Shakespearean tragedy.
And by the way, I've done the pathless path myself, and might I just say it's one of the best things I've done because it is so experiential, and the more that I seek and explore, the more that everything seems to lie in the authentic self. Like you mentioned, there is an inner source of happiness that always is there, that is expressed through authenticity. Leading a purpose-driven life again is expressed through authenticity. But the sad state of affairs is that being authentic is never taught to us, right? Ever since we've been growing up, I don't think the elder generation knew it themselves, so they don't teach us. It's not as part of the curriculum in schools, and I think that's why the Pathless Path program that I did was one of the best things I've done because it's so experiential. And the answer, as I was thinking, the question that I asked you, how do we know that we're operating from authenticity? The answer is just that we know. It's a knowingness that comes.
Yeah, and people ask me, how does it work?
Yeah.
And I wish, to me, life was like this beautiful ad of Melody. It says, Melody itni chocolate bhari kaise? It says very beautifully, Melody khao, khud jaan jao. That's it. Why are we struggling? Why do I have to learn from somebody else, right?
Right.
If I understand the framework, because most of the time all our fears and all our insecurities are brought to us, upon us by our conditioning because of societal pressures, and therefore we do not have the right understanding, right? And therefore that puts fears in us and that makes us feel anxious about our future. But just imagine if all this wasn't there, right? And we were just told, hey, you've come in this world and this is such a joyful world, and the whole idea of this world is Ananda, and you have to, if you figure out who you truly are, you can experience joy everywhere. But we were not told that, right? Our parents couldn't tell us because they were not told also. So, I call it the revenge of the elder generation. What their ignorance is our curse. Right. So now, do we want to remain in that, or do we want to say, because your generation is the one which is now going beyond and saying, no, I will not accept it. And I keep saying, this age, while artificial intelligence is bringing so much, but what's really coming is divine intelligence. What is divine intelligence? The authentic self. The authentic self is going to come out now. And just imagine the kind of paradigms it's going to break. Because it's no longer going to be restricted by whatever the elders have told us. We're going to break. And then when we express ourselves, just imagine what we are going to unfold, what we are going to manifest in this world.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just the power.
So invigorating.
Yeah. Why should life be boring? Why should life be, dull? Why should life be, just chalta hai attitude? Okay? Because others have done this before us, and we must also follow that. No. Your generation is questioning it, and I love this. And I'm saying there is a path. I'm willing to come along with you and tell you that there is so much of joy in this world. Why are you restricting yourself? Why are we getting stuck?
So, like for a person, say, who's watching this, who's in their 20s, I'm sure this is very enthusing for them to hear. what is something practical they could do to come onto this path? Now, if they want to live this authentic self, express themselves fully to their fullest potential, and live joyfully, there's like many schools of New Age thought that promote several techniques. What is something that we can practically do on a daily basis? Be it a practice that we do for an hour a day or 24 hours while we're doing everything else. What is something tangible and practical we can do to live this life that you're talking about?
You see, as I said, that the first thing that we need to do is move away from the shackles of ignorance. Our Upanishads say, asato ma sadgamaya, that we need to move away from what we believe to be real to what is actually real. And that is, removing the gaps in our understanding of ourselves. Once you've understood who you truly are and how we engage between the authentic self and the external world, and what is the relationship that we have in the of who we are with the world, then that allows us an opportunity to engage with this world on our terms. And there are many techniques then that can help us on a day-to-day basis, and that we have an inventory of some 800 plus videos on different topics.
Right.
Yeah, because once you've got the entire understanding through the Pathless Path program or the Atma Chalisa, then you can figure out, if you want to know a little more, then we have on every topic there are videos on that. So be it on meditation, be it on cleansing the emotions that trouble you, be it on gratitude, be it on forgiveness, right? There are many things then that open up for you once you understand it. And to guide everybody at every step, we have that. We have regular programs on every Saturday, where people engage with us online. And then we conduct, various courses, as you've attended a few of them, which help us to sharpen our clarity. Because the problem is, look at you asking me a question. This question is such a big question. In my understanding, it can be a much more focused question, right? What is it? Clarity. All of us are getting challenged in life because of lack of clarity. Once clarity comes, everything, all clouds lift. And you are so focused. It's like the focus, right now this conversation is being recorded in a camera. The camera has clarity in it, right? Similarly, once you have clarity of life, just imagine how quickly you can do things and how effectively you can do things.
So what you're saying is there is no standard path because every one of us is different.
Yeah.
We have to understand life in all its facets and then figure it out.
Figure out for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what makes it unique. That's what makes it interesting. Somebody says I'm an introvert, somebody says I'm an extrovert, somebody says I'm so and so. But in the inner self, we are all the same, right? So the inner self, which is the authentic self, and the external traits which make us a pessimist or an optimist, or whatever trait we are putting it, once they combine together, it creates a beautiful, mandala, a beautiful, set of patterns and colors. So you choose to, figure out which color you would like to express in life. How would you like to live your own life? It is in your hands. Why should you be a victim of how others have imagined life for you? So
Absolutely.
go ahead, create what you want to create. Be joyous and spread this joy to everybody. It should be like that anybody who meets Raghav should just feel the power of joy coming from within.
Yes.
Yeah? Like this is why you come to me, right?
Yeah.
And you saw me. I had, the reason I'm wearing these glasses is because I've had a challenge, an infection in my eye. But that doesn't, when it came, the joy on my face didn't go. It didn't stop me from doing the work that I'm doing, and it's part of life. Life will keep throwing things at you, right? Which it must, because that's what life is all about. But does it? It's all external. Does it impact you from within? No. And when I'm carrying my joy with me, I'm joyous all the time.
Now that's what I began with. The thing that I notice about you is that you're a happiness magnet. Like I mentioned, there was this thing, and yet there was no complaining about it, and your happiness was as constant as ever.
Yeah.
So that's something to learn for sure, and that's something that I know now is possible. So we've discussed this part about authenticity, and to me, authenticity seems like the secret code to life. the other aspect that I've really been fascinated with is freedom, right? I wish, and since my childhood, I've wished to be free, unentangled and free to do whatever I want, be whatever I want. The reason that last year, like a lot of churning and unhappiness began was because everything that I'd wanted out of life, I'd gotten to that age. But what I realized was that I was not free anymore. My happiness was completely dependent on achieving these 3-4 things, and I wondered that if this was all taken away from me, what would I be, right? And that brings me to my next question: detachment. So there is this authentic self. To me, that gets clouded when we have all these attachments of the material world coming, showing their temptations. How do we ensure that we stay detached from all of this, enjoy everything, because I love enjoying stuff, stay happy, just enjoy, explore, figure it out, and yet remain in the authentic self without getting attached and, like you say, laying hooks on things? How do we do that?
You see, that's a beautiful question. First of all, as you said, that we all are seeking freedom. This is something which is so innate in us, and everyone at a societal level or at a country level or an individual level is looking for this freedom. And in fact, we're doing a program as of now. It's a 21-day intensive program. It's called the Mukti Parayanam, or the liberating the self. So freedom is an intrinsic need of human beings. And 15 years back, I conducted a program for DPS school in Noida. It was called Freedom with Responsibility, and this was for the 12th standard students. The whole idea is this: that everybody wants freedom, but we don't want to carry the responsibility of our actions, right? And that's where we're saying that if we understand, this understanding of the self is very important. Once it comes, you understand your relationship with the rest of the world and your interdependence with it. Okay, that interdependence and the interconnectedness is very important part of it. We are not alone. We cannot live this life by ourselves. So therefore, in the Isha Upanishad it says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincham jagatyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita. That there is a way that this whole creation was created for all of us to enjoy. It is full of charms and beauty, and we are meant to enjoy everything that the world has given. But there is a way in which we need to enjoy it. There is a sense of responsibility that is put on us, that how do we enjoy it? We enjoy it with self-sacrifice. We enjoy it by looking at what my needs are, and I take up only what is my need, right? And leave the rest for others. It's the concept of being a trustee. A trustee is a custodian. We are custodian of this world. We are custodian of the resources of the world, each one of us who are staying here. So we only take as much as we need, and we leave the rest for others to enjoy. But what do? We have greed. We don't have need. We have greed. So what we try to hoard everything for ourselves, right? And as long as this culture is there in nature, there is no, if you look at the birds, you look at the bees, you look at the flowers, you look at the trees, they're all there for sharing. They don't keep anything for themselves, right? And human beings also know this. You and I also know that we are going to die. We don't know when we are going to die. We came empty-handed. We are going to go back empty-handed. Nothing belongs to us. But yet, everything is available for us to enjoy in this moment. And life is in this moment, here and now. If I can just be in this present moment and see what I need, and I can get that, and not bother about what is I need to keep for myself and my children and my great grandchildren, there is no end to this, right? So let's understand our frame of reference to life, who we are and what is our frame of reference to life. And when we have that clarity, we know exactly how to go ahead, fully enjoy what life has to offer, but do it with that responsibility that it is meant for everybody, not just for me. Yeah, that sense of use, but recycle, reuse, distribute, and have everybody else's interest also in mind, not just be selfish in your own consumption, but consume with this idea that this is for my others who are a part of me.
Hmm.
And that again comes from a better understanding of the self.
Okay. So treat life like a playground.
Yeah.
Treat life like play and live completely in the moment.
And complete in the moment and leave things behind for others to use. Don't be like a selfish child who goes and plays and destroys the playroom and walks away, not thinking anybody else is required. You come, you play, and once you've done your play, put things back in their order and then move out.
Hmm.
So just imagine if you can do this for your room, for your offices, for whatever you do in life, right? If that awareness comes in, that is for everybody. It's not just for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I for example, in my home, I use one cup and I use one glass,
Hmm.
right? Which I maintain myself. I wash it. I drink my water. Whereas there are 10 other glasses available, right? The reason I use only one is because I take the ownership of not trying to use too many things. For me, less is more.
Hmm.
And that's sustainability. If I don't promote that sustainability in my own lifestyle, nobody will understand.
Hmm. And I think that's again what I've noticed is if you talk about what you're actually doing, there is so much power in the words. People actually listen. Other thing that I wanted to ask you was
No, but why people listen is because as you said, there is Trikaran Shuddhi. We have alignment of our thought, words, and action.
Correct.
What's the use of saying things which I am not able to live myself? Right? Now, people will understand or misunderstand. That's okay. But I know that this is what my thinking is, and this is how I am manifesting it in my life. I'm living my life. Right? So have the courage to, live your own life based on your own authentic principles. And don't get, affected when people pass judgments at you or people start to say things to you. That's okay. That's their way, right?
That to me is the secret behind magnetism and charisma. If you're actually there is alignment between thought, word, and deed. People listen to you. Not only do they listen to you, they're also attracted towards you, right? Other thing that I wanted to ask was, how do we prevent the fear that often creeps in? A lot of us live life in fear, and that fear is because of things that we're afraid might go wrong, majorly because we might lose something. So once we have knowledge of the authentic self, does the fear drop away automatically?
Of course, fear is ignorance. Fear is born out of ignorance. Ignorance means not knowing. So in the Indian culture, the teacher was called a guru. The ancient system. Guru was it is a combination of two words, gu and ru, right? So what does it mean together is that the guru is a person who removes the darkness from our life. What is the darkness? The darkness is of ignorance, of not knowing. That the one who brings the light of the right knowing is a guru or a teacher. Right? So once that right understanding comes, our problem is this only. We know bits and pieces, as I said. We know a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that. We're like jack of all trades, but we have not able to put this little bit together to have a one composite whole. Once you understand, it's like again a program, no? Can you imagine there's no program on life? There's a program on everything. There's a program on management, on marketing, on multimedia, on yoga, on every damn thing. But there is no composite program called life.
Yeah.
Right? And if we can just put this together and tell people, come, and you know it, we don't charge anything from anyone. What is this? Can you imagine what a tragedy? This planet was made for our joy and for us to express our love. And we are not able to do that. Nobody wants it.
Right.
And nobody even knows that it is possible. So I'm saying, go ahead, Raghav, and you and your friends, share it with your friends and let them share it with everybody else, that we can do this. Come on, let's do it. This is our birthright. Why are we away from it?
Wow.
Yeah, let's spread this. That we have not come here to suffer. We have not come here, to worry. We have not come here to, to find joy. We have to go to these expensive shows and, pay so much money. Go ahead and do it. But that joy will come and go. a couple of beers and a couple of vodka shots is not what joy is about. That also gives you joy. So there is a joy that you can experience even without doing it. After that, you go ahead and do whatever you want to, right? So it's just that we don't know that it exists.
So I think ultimately, this is a beautiful conversation, and what I'm drawing away from this is that ultimately authenticity and freedom and fearlessness just all blend into the same thing.
Absolutely,
It's all one
these are-
integrated whole.
These are the aspects of the same thing.
Yes.
Ignorance. Melody khao, khud jaan jao. That's why I'm saying, come, learn, understand, and go ahead and do what you've come here to do in life.
Yeah.
But don't go with a baggage. Don't go with your hands tied behind your back. Don't go because of compulsions. Don't go because somebody else is forcing you to do something. Go ahead and do it because this is who you are. Yeah.
At the age of 24, still 10 days away from 25, at the age of 24, that's all that matters to me right now. Living with authenticity, living with freedom, living fearlessly, and with happiness.
Yeah.
And that is what I want to be, and that is what I want to spread. So thank you so much for this conversation. Loved having it with you. Thank you so much for all the love.
Love you, my son.
Yeah. Until the next conversation.
Until the next conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.